out. What will this show will create? I'm so wondering now.
I can't hear you, unfortunately. No. Yeah.
That's great.
Yes, I can hear you now. Yes.
You can hear now, and I cannot hear you now. That's great. Is it now working?
Yes. Yes,
so
it's working.
Probably no one heard me. Shall I restart? Yes. Do you have time? May I?
Yeah, of course.
So, okay, take two, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Game Changer Talks Duo. It is the very first episode that I have the honor to have Wynne-Jones with me. And this episode is also translated in Serbian and Turkish, thanks to Adriana and Yeşim. And you can find the links on the Facebook post description. And later, the translation will be also in Spanish and German when this video will be posted on YouTube. So if you are in the future and watching this video on YouTube channel, you can just go to the descriptions and check the folder for the translations. And I'm Eileen. I'm one of the Access Consciousness facilitators and approved translators. And I'll be hosting this show every week, hopefully, with my very precious guests. And the first one is Sue Wynne-Jones. Hi, Sue.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me. How did I get so lucky to be the first?
Yeah, thank you for saying yes. So I had the chance to know you and work and co-create with you. So I know you, and I'm sure that most of the people knows you too. And yet there may be some X-Men mostly who doesn't know you yet. Could you tell us more about yourself?
Sure. Well, my name is Saul. I live in Australia, probably on the other side of the world to most of you. And yeah, I started, I guess, my journey with Access tools probably about 10 years ago. And as Eileen was saying, when I found the X-Men tools, it really spoke to me in a way that nothing else had. And when I found that information, I was like, why haven't I had this, since I was in school and basically for my whole life? And as I started to delve into it, everything started to make more sense to me in a way that it just really never had before. So I started to use the tools. They really worked. And I thought, well, if I can get this much change from using these tools, then there must be other people out there like me who are also looking for this. So I started to facilitate classes on X-Men.
Yeah, and thank you for choosing that, as I'm one of those your participants that discovered what is an X-Man and what are so-called disabilities, which are indeed abilities. So I would like to ask you what it is to be an X-Man on these crazy times now for you.
Yeah, so I mean, I think for me, one of the main things is that I feel more comfortable in my own skin. It doesn't mean that is like that all the time. There's definitely a lot of times where, I'm very uncomfortable. But, for me, when I first started using these tools, I was extremely shy. I couldn't really look people in the eyes. I would avoid social situations. I would basically just have difficulty, being me and interacting, with the world, especially when it came to other people. And so for me now, that's much easier, and it still has its moments. But I think one of the gifts of the X-Men tools for me as well has been, having an energetic awareness, not really knowing what to do with it when I first had it, but the X-Men tools actually give you, not only a way to navigate your reality to have greater ease, but then also to use your energetic awareness and your abilities to your advantage. So, you know, you can go from, you know, fucked up to, you know, having a really great time, and you actually start to find that, you know, these areas that you thought you were really messed up in, you actually have a creative capacity that is sometimes far greater than what you could even imagine.
That's great. And do you have any tools? I mean, you have for sure. What tools you would recommend for those who are going from fucked up to a great day?
Yeah, well, you know, for example, I woke up the other morning, and, you know, there was this energy in my world of like, I don't want to wake up, you know, I don't want to go and do this, you know, and most of us would be quite familiar with that, and we would wake up basically with that energy in our worlds, and we might never even recognize or acknowledge that might not be yours. That might actually be your awareness of where other people are functioning from. And so for me, the other morning, it was simply, okay, acknowledging that energy. And as soon as you acknowledge it, you're able to see it a lot clearer, because a lot of the time when we perceive something, we just think that we are it. You know, it's like, you know, well, a great analogy for this is, you know, if you're in an elevator and it's you and someone else, and you know, you smell a fart and you know you didn't fart, would you still think it was yours? And so basically that's the premise for this. And it's just really asking, okay, so is this mine or is this someone else? You know, who does this actually belong to? And so, yeah, I would recommend to, you know, ask that question for, you know, the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions that come up in everyday life, because a lot of them are not actually ours, and we don't need to create our life based on it. We have different choices available.
Yeah, and these tools of who does this belong to is an amazing tool. You know, when I moved to Antalya here, just the next day they started to construct 2 different schools here. They are just here in front of my building. And so there are almost 500 students and their teachers there every day. And my house is just between 2 mosques, you know? So yeah, I mostly, and it was before Access. And when I discovered these tools, my most favorite one was also who does this belong to? Because there are hundreds of people around me every day.
Yeah. And, you know, you would probably be thinking, I should pray now. No, I should study. Hang on. I'm not at a mosque or a school. What's going on?
Yeah, that's great. And another question about X-Man, it will be mostly being an X-Man parent, because you have a very young X-Man in the house all day, every day. So what's like to have an X-Man child? You know, most of the parents come to your classes to, let's say, quote unquote, understand their child.
Yeah.
So what's like that?
Yeah, so I think one of the things to recognize, you know, we're all different. So each and every kid is going to be different. For me, with my son, he started off communicating with me, you know, before he was even like born into the world. So, you know, he communicates very energetically. And, you know, now he's a bit older. It's a lot more talking than energy. Well, it's both. But, you know, the talking kind of rules now, whereas the energy sort of ruled for a long time. And so I guess what I learned is that I could communicate with him. I could know what it was that he, you know, required and desired. Just basically, he would just put things in my head, you know, and it would be like, I want this, or, you know, I'd like to go here, or I'd like to do this. And he wasn't saying these things, but he was letting me know. So Yeah, I would say that's one of the main things, because a lot of X-Men kids who have this ability, they find it very strange that you don't acknowledge it. And when you don't acknowledge it, they often get very frustrated, because for them, like, energy is obvious. Energy is their first language. And so when you don't acknowledge the energy, they'll often mess up and misbehave, and be hard and difficult to deal with as well.
Yeah, and any tool that you would recommend to parents to have more ease in their communication with their X-Men child?
Yeah, I would say, so one of the things that we tend to do, especially with people that, are in our lives a lot of the time, is we kind of have these like projections and expectations of, who they're going to be, and, what it is that we need to be for them. So one of the things that I would say is to, like, kind of destroy and uncreate your relationship with your kids every day, and also all of the projections and expectations that you have of them and that they have of you, and that you have of what it means, like, to be a parent. So you're starting every day afresh, and being willing to, be open to receiving whatever might be available that day.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. I remember my mom saying, "You were a great child. You were like, we were putting you in somewhere and you were staying there." It was kind of a good thing for her,
Yeah.
like being a nice child, no trouble. But I can see now, since I'm in Access, how it programmed me, to stay where people put me in.
Yeah.
And it's amazing that kind of awareness that we have with tools and questions in Access, and that we can out-create ourselves.
Yeah, that's really cool. And it's a really great awareness to have. And I think the more that you use these tools, the more of those kind of awarenesses you will have. And you're actually able to, undo things that, some therapists would spend a lifetime basically trying to create. And, often you can get there yourself using these tools, which is really cool.
Yeah. It's so fun, so fast, and so joyful, I will say.
Yeah.
So I have a last question, which is kind of related with this. I checked the X-Men classes manuals, and there's a 1-day class and 2-day class. And you have a 2-day class, I guess, in July, right?
I'm glad that you know when it is. I never know when my classes are. Yeah, as you know, I'm terrible with time and dates, but yes, I do have a class coming up. I usually always have something X-Men related, because it's my favorite thing to facilitate. But yeah, the 2-day class, Disabilities or Abilities, is coming up in July. And yeah, you're all invited.
Yeah, and if you require the dates, it's on the 13th and on the 17th. It's 11 a.m. CET. And we can also share the link in the comments for those who get interested. And
Yes.
the question I have from the manuals is, on the first day classes, there's a topic like sensitive or aware. And it says that if you buy the idea, I'm cheating, if you buy the idea that you are sensitive, you have to make it yours. When you are aware, you don't have to do anything about it.
Yeah.
Would you say more about this?
Yeah, well, so it's the funny thing about awareness is, we have this idea that if we're aware of it, we have to do something with it. But for example, if you're laying in bed thinking about washing your car and you don't even own a car, then it really isn't something that's relevant to you. It's not relevant to you or your life. And we tend to make a lot of what we're aware of relevant to us, and we try to deal with it and we try to fix it. but you can't deal with and you can't fix what's not yours. So, you know, you waste a lot of time and energy trying to do something with what you're aware of that might not even be relevant to you in your life. So I guess another tool, another question that I would give you guys is, you know, just ask for the things that up in your life. Is this actually relevant to me? And if it's not, just let it go, you know, water under the bridge, you know, that kind of thing. Like, you can still be aware of it. You can't not be aware of it, but it doesn't mean that you have to do anything with it.
Wow, that's great. Thank you. And on the manual of the today classes, there is no reality, you know, and it was one of my favorite topics on the classes. So I have a question about this. It says there that if something for you is a non-reality and you are trying to create it as a reality, how much of that is going to work?
Yeah, not very much. So, I mean, it's kind of more, yeah, it's more, I would say it's more of sort of an advanced conversation, but the thing about it that I think would help you guys that are listening is, you know, our point of view creates our reality. And so if you can recognize the areas where you don't really have so many points of view, that's where you tend to not create from reality. That tends to be a non-reality for you. And often that's where you'll have magic and miracles show up in your life, and you'll have a lot of ease because you're not functioning from the same like fixed points of view that other people function from. You actually have like space and possibilities, and that's where, you know, ease can exist. So yeah, just ask, I guess, you know, what non-reality you have available that you haven't yet discovered.
Thank you. Thank you, Sul. That was an amazing beginning for the Game Changer Talks Duo. Thank you for being here. And is there anything that you would like to add for those who are watching now or those who will watch in the future?
I think it's a really awesome creation. I really love the title and the energy of it. And, you know, yeah, I think one of the things, I guess, would just be, you know, we often think that we're just some, you know, one little person and, you know, what can we do? But actually, you all have something unique and different about you and something to offer the world. So, you know, why not go on the adventure and find out what that is?
Yeah, why not to keep choosing? You know, it was just a, I wouldn't even say choice. It was just a dream for me to have this Game Changer talk just in English. You know, I remember myself talking to a friend about this one, but not choosing really. And now that my Facebook account got hacked and I had a totally new space, it was, you know, we ask and we don't know how and when it will show up, and it show up like that. So choosing is, I guess, one of the best tools that Access gives us. Choice.
Yeah. I love that you're doing it in English, and I have a lot of friends that speak many languages like you do, and they always say my English is terrible, and I said, well, it's better than I know no other languages, so you're doing great.
Yeah, I was saying this also till this morning, so to confess.
Yeah.
And thank you for acknowledging. Thank you. So thank you everyone who are watching this and who will watch in the future. And if you have anyone to see here as guests, please just send a message to me and let's create it together. And see you soon in somewhere on the earth, somewhere, sometime. Take care. Thank you, Sue. Thank you. That was a great talk.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.